We're back on the early edge here on CBS Sports Network, and it's time to tackle some Monday Night Football props. Mike McClure joins the team, and a little bit of breaking news. I'm sure a lot of people that are watching this show probably already saw that Tucker Kraft officially tore his ACL, so I wanted to pass that news along. And really an injury-ravaged season, Mike, for almost every team in the NFL, and that leads us to having Jacoby Brissett start at quarterback for the Arizona Cardinals. You have a Jacoby Brissett prop.
Yeah, I'm going to go over on his passing yards here. See, a 245.5, which look, that's a pretty big number for a backup quarterback coming in, but we've got a decent sample size here. We've watched him the last 2 weeks for this team. Now another week to prepare with the bye. At his age, I can't help but think that bye week helps. And then you talk about this Cowboys defense. They've just been awful. You got ideal conditions in a dome. There are just so many things to like here. Like, I think they can be competitive in this game, but there's still a very good chance that they find themselves in a trailing game script at some point and have to do it via the comeback. I think that this number, while again, it's big, I think he throws for at least 270 yards in this game.
Danny Brasco, you agree?
Absolutely. This is my favorite prop of the night, and Brissett's gone well over this number in his first two starts. I agree with Mike's sentiment. They're plus 3.5 dogs. The total's 54. If they're in a trailing game script indoors, Brissett's going to be airing it out. This has been a pretty incompetent rush attack since James Conner went down. Trey Benson hurt too. So I don't know if they're going to be able to run the ball. That's the one thing that Dallas does well on defense. They're actually top 10 in terms of rush DVOA, but we mentioned before, 31st in terms of pass DVOA. They're giving up the third most pass yards per game in the league, and I think Brissett's just going to air it out and easily climb over this passing yards total.
And Larry, you also like a Jacoby Brissett over, but you're actually opting for efficiency rather than the yards themselves.
Yeah, I like the yards, but I like the completions a little bit better, over 22.5. This is a guy who's completed 25 and 27 against the Colts and the Packers. And the Cowboys secondary, there's so many things you can say about them. Down their starting two safeties, down Trayvon Diggs, but opposing quarterbacks, giving up or seeing an open target 62% of the time. So finding guys wide open in that secondary, let's have him complete at least 23 balls.
All right. I'm actually going to go with, this is a little scary. So if people don't want to take all of these bets, I get it. Because I'm taking a Dak Prescott under. No, I'm not taking his yardage under. I'm taking his completions under because this number is insane. Doesn't mean my bet's going to hit, but 25.5 completions is a ton. You usually see with like the Patrick Mahomes of the world, you usually see 23.5. Maybe you see a 24.5. It's extremely rare that you get something this high. I think Arizona coming off the bye, listen, they're not going to be a great defense. They're not going to hold Dak Prescott down, but to get to 26 completions really takes a lot. I think he could be a little less efficient. And then I think also that we might see a little bit more Javonte Williams than people expect. We're looking at 15 to 16 carries for him alone. So I'm going to take Dak Prescott under 25.5 completions. Speaking of Javonte Williams, though, let's go to our rushing props. And Danny, we want to go to the Arizona side of the ball. A lot of confusion with this running game. Talk to me about Zonovan Knight.
And that's exactly why I'm going to take his under 11.5 carries. I actually tailed Larry, and I'm looking forward to his analysis on his Bam Knight pick. But I think it's going to be running back by committee tonight. Of course, we mentioned the passing yards prop with Jacoby Brissett, that they're likely to be trailing or just need to air it out against this weak Cowboys secondary. But Knight, 12 carries for a guy that I'm not sure is going to get featured all that much in a game script that could play out like this. They might run sweeps to Greg Dortch, look for scrambles to Brissett. It's going to be running back by committee if they can run the ball. And when they do, I don't know if it's going to work. So I like the under rush attempts for their RB1 now.
It's funny you bring up Greg Dortch on the morning show. Somebody brought up a Greg Dortch anytime touchdown at plus 650. So I don't know. Maybe I have to take that now. Okay, Larry, expand on that. You also like this play?
Yeah, well, Jonathan Gannon said Bam Knight will be the first one out there along with DeMercado, and they're supposed to elevate Michael Carter from the practice squad to be the third running back. But then the beat reporter saw on Thursday and Friday Michael Carter taking the first team reps, and you saw Bam Knight's prop go from the high 50s, now 52.5, some books even in the high 40s. So there's just a lot of uncertainty. I think this is a passing game script for Arizona. That's the best way to attack the Dallas Cowboys. So I went under 52.5 yards.
Mike, if Jacoby Brissett's going to have a ton of dropbacks, perhaps that means he's going to have a ton of scrambling opportunities. Talk to me about a rushing prop for the quarterback.
Yeah, let's go over 14 and a half rushing yards for Jacoby Brissett. As the guys mentioned here, yes, they've got some running backs. They're going to have three running backs out there. The way you beat the Dallas Cowboys is to throw the football. One of the more likely scenarios here, still, again, as much as I like Arizona, is they do fall behind and have to come back against that Dallas defense. I just think there's going to be opportunity here. And while Jacoby Brissett is far from the runner that he was earlier in his career, he's still mobile enough to get this done, particularly coming off a bye week. I can't impress enough how important the bye weeks are for quarterbacks as they age. You look at the last 2 weeks as a starter, he's had rushes of 11 and 12 yards on a single carry each time. I think there's just enough dropbacks in this game. I think that the running backs are inefficient and they essentially abandon the run either by choice or necessity. Give me Jacoby Brissett here over 14 and a half rushing yards.
I'm going to go with Jaden Blue, the backup running back for the Dallas Cowboys. This line has gotten low enough for me to consider the over here. It's really just a lean on this particular play, but I like Jaden Blue over 14 and a half rushing yards at minus 114. Again, I think this number has dropped enough, and I do think the running game is going to be more involved than people think on both sides of the ball, maybe, but particularly on the Cowboys side. Jaden Blue has shown enough with Miles Sanders out, I think, to get some carries in this game. Give me 15 yards or more for him. All right, let's go to receiving props. Larry, I'm going to start with you.
George Pickens is really a number one receiver. I mean, he is getting incredible production with this great offense in this great system. 68 or more receiving yards, 6 of his last 7 games. And his number sitting there at 62 and a half. I just have to go over it because Arizona, they play a ton of cover 3 and cover 4. He excels against those coverages. He also has very good home splits. So it's just another statement for him trying to get a contract. He's on the last year of his rookie deal, 24 years old, looks incredibly fast on that turf. So let's go over on Pickens yet again.
I've got an over for the receiver group, for Jacoby's receiver group, I should say. Mike, you're on this as well. Now, I got my number. It's pretty juicy, minus 130 over at BetMGM for Zay Jones over 17 and a half. But Mike, you've got Zay Jones over 19 and a half receiving yards at a less juicy number, minus 110. Talk to me.
Yeah, going to go over for Zay. And look, I think this probably closes 21-22. It's only going to go one way from this point on today. I think he's going to have 30 plus yards in this game, though. So when I look at this option in terms of how you beat Dallas, it's got to be with the passing game. And what I think is going to happen here is I think you're going to see Brissett hone in on his number one target, which is Trey McBride. Extra attention goes there. Zay gets forgotten about, and he has one deep catch in this game. So yes, I like this. I like his over 15 and a half on the longest reception. I would also continue to wait and maybe play this live. If you got the option to have a live bet, I know there's some live boosts out there. Look to play his longest reception over live or total receiving yards over live. If he doesn't have a catch in the first quarter of this game, this number is going to creep down to 13 and a half, 14 and a half, where he's easily obtaining this on that one long ball. Give me Zay Jones over here.
Shout out to Prop Stars, Alex Selznick as well, who also gave this out on the morning show and put it on SportsLine, I believe last night or very early this morning. Trey McBride, Danny Brasco, Mike McClure just referred to him. He's a volume monster. How are you playing him?
There's just no way I'm playing this game and not getting a Trey McBride prop in. So yeah, I'll pay the juice for over 6.5 receptions at minus 146. I even considered laddering up his receptions, which I wanted to do with Brock Bowers on Sunday and kicking myself for. So now maybe get one of the next best tight ends in the league here, McBride, who has received 24 targets and 18 receptions in Jacoby Brissett's first 2 starts. Mike McClure mentioned it, right? I mean, he's looking at this guy over and over again. He's a safety blanket. He's the best receiver, I think, on the Arizona Cardinals. That's with Marvin Harrison Jr. there. And yeah, you're going to have to beat these Cowboys D-backs, but I think that McBride's going to be able to find zone coverage, just soft spots all day. If the Cowboys kind of want to play bend, don't break, in which should be a shootout, then McBride should be there for, the mid area over the middle catches all day. I see him getting 7 to 10 catches in this game.
You talk about Brock Bowers. Mike, I was playing, we do the DFS show, me, Mike McClure, and Meg Shop every Thursday. And the difference between me winning $5,000 and winning literally $0 was switching out Travis Kelce and putting in Brock Bowers. I mean, that's how impactful Brock Bowers was on the DFS slate yesterday. Absolutely incredible stuff. All right, let's get to a game or team prop. Larry, I'll start with you.
Yeah, but take Arizona over their team total, 25.5. This has gone up, but 25.5 is not such a key number. I'm still comfortable going over. The Cowboys are missing pieces at all levels of their defense. They only have one healthy safety on the roster right now. I mean, somebody said this is an everything funnel defense. You could do whatever you want. The Cowboys are going to put up a ton of points. The Cardinals are going to have to chase, and I think they get to 26.
Danny, you're on Dak Prescott. Am I seeing this right? Anytime touchdown?
That's right. I didn't quite have a game prop, but I had to go with a juicy anytime TD sprinkle. And Dak, he's not necessarily been a rusher this season. He only has one rushing touchdown, but he was taking off last game. He had 6 carries, 30 yards, and he got stopped inside the 5-yard line. He went for it, Sia. You're looking at a game total of 54. Touchdowns should be a plenty. I want a plus 800 prop there. So give me a Dak scramble at the goal line.
Mike, speaking of going for it, the Cowboys less inclined to go for it at midfield because they have this kicker that can kick it like 100 yards. I've never seen this prop coming from you. Talk to me about your field goal prop.
Yeah, this one was appealing to me. Longest field goal in the game to be over 52.5 yards, looking for a 53+ yard field goal. It's just the game environment. You mentioned the total in the game and how these defenses potentially play. I think there will be opportunity here. We've seen it from both sides clearly this year, but it's the dome. It's the perfect conditions. Like, it is the best place to kick a field goal in the NFL right now. And you just saw over the weekend, Cam Little setting the NFL record. Do we think that the Cowboys, if they find themselves in a position potentially up late in the game, do they let Brandon Aubrey kick something similar? I think that they might in this spot. I get that these are kind of fluky props because it does depend on a lot, but I thought the number should have been 55.5 here because we've seen Aubrey routinely line up for 53, 54, 55 yarders. So go over 52.5 here. And again, we talked all about Brandon Aubrey. This includes both teams, either any kicker going over 52.5 yards. And we know that every kicker in the NFL at least has the distance, whether or not the accuracy is there, they've got the distance for 52.5.
We've got a 70-yard Brandon Aubrey kick coming tonight. Everybody book it. Don't book that. Okay, first touchdown. Let's do rapid fire. We don't need any explanation. Mike, I'm going to stick with you. Trey McBride.
Trey McBride, number 1 target here. Trey McBride.
All right. Larry Hartstein.
Marvin Harrison getting good odds, 11-1. A disappointment, no question, but this is the dream matchup where he can break out.
I'm going to go Jake Ferguson, who I think is going to have a really nice bounce back game at plus 900. Danny Brasco, you can add all ours up and it doesn't even almost equals yours. What, Kavontae Turpin?
I got to crack one of these, Sia, plus 2,800. Doesn't he just sound like a first touchdown scorer? Give me Turpin.
Yeah, it does sound like a first touchdown score. That's definitely going to hit. All right, 28-1, says Danny Brasco. Those are some fun sprinkle bets. Nothing you should take super seriously. First touchdown, always fun on the early edge. We come back with our favorite sides, totals, and team totals. That's coming up next on the early edge. Plenty more other NFL games to talk about on this show, including some Group of 5 FCF stuff from Emery Hunt and Tom Casale. But we're going to stick with Monday Night Football for a couple more minutes. Larry, we've got a 3.5-point spread at BetMGM. I think you can still catch some 3 at some spots. It's a 54-point total, but let's stick with the side for now. At 3.5, what do you like?
I like the dog. Arizona has been so unfortunate. Drop pass by Zay Jones that would have beaten the 49ers. Emery DeMercado, dropping the ball at the goal line. 5 losses by a total of 13 points, and they needed this bye to kind of reset and get their head straight. I think they're going to be very competitive. They could get 2 key defenders back in the lineup, a cornerback, as well as their first-round pick, Walter Nolan. And the Cowboys' defense is just so bad. So even if Arizona goes down 10, goes down 17, this Jacoby Brissett-led offense can potentially get them through the back door, but I don't think it's going to be like that. It's being competitive throughout, and Arizona gets the cover.
Mike, I tend to agree with this. I like the plus 3.5 as well. You also agree.
Yeah, I agree at 3.5. I think the hook could be very, very beneficial here in this game. And it really comes down to Dallas not being able to stop anyone. You know, Larry mentioned potentially getting behind and coming backdoor cover. I actually prefer that route for the Arizona Cardinals. I prefer them to be down in this game, let Jacoby Brissett go out there and sling the ball around, and let that Cowboys defense try to stop that hurry up offense, because that's where I think that Dallas is most vulnerable. We've really seen it all season. So I like the number here at 3.5 for the Cardinals.
Danny, you're the lone dissenter, but you also are the one that grabbed this at the Cowboys -3. Talk to me about that play.
Yeah, obviously key, differential there. I really wanted that number. I didn't want that hook there because I do see a similar game to Larry and Mike. I think it's going to be a competitive back and forth affair. My problem with the Cardinals is that I think they could score 30. I don't know if they can stop the Cowboys from scoring 35. At night, Dak has been excellent. He's 14-7 against the spread since 2021 when playing a night game. And he's been even better at home in that time period. So they're beating at home. They're 13-0 straight up since 2020, and they're beating their opponents at night by an average of 18.3 points per game. Now, that defense, I don't know if they're going to be able to hold Arizona in check and win by such a margin, but ultimately, I don't think Arizona will be able to hold serve. I think they're going to fall behind, and they won't have enough firepower to keep up with the Cowboys, who haven't scored less than 40 points at home yet.
Mike, we're talking about firepower, which leads us to our total play. Again, this is now creeping up in the 54 range over at BetMGM. What's your play on this one, McClure?
Gonna lean over. See, and again, we've talked about it here. I just don't think the Cowboys can stop anyone. And to Danny's point, I'm not sure that Arizona's going to stop this passing attack. Dak Prescott has two number one receivers in CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens, one of the better tight ends, and a decent running game. So, and not to mention one of the best field goal kickers ever. For me, it's over or nothing in this spot.
Danny, I hate to belabor the point because I think we've been addressing the over quite a bit, but anything to add there because you like the over as well?
Agreed. Yeah, over or pass for me. I just see points in this one. And I mentioned the market before. The public tickets coming in on the under. I think that sentiment is leading over from Chiefs Bills, but money is coming in on the over. The total continues to rise, a little bit of reverse line movement there. So I play the over or pass on it.
So Larry, I'm going to take the under. And again, it's more of a principle thing to me. I mean, I do think there could be some stalled drives, maybe some Brandon Aubrey kicks where we end up falling under the total, maybe more of the running game, especially on the Cowboys side than we think. But I don't love it. And frankly, I'm not betting it. It's just a lean for me. I just want to disclose that. But you like the over as well. So address that for maybe a few seconds. But I also want you to talk about your team total bet because you like the Cardinals team total over as well.
Yeah, I think 53.5 or lower, you have to go over in this game. When you look at the three home games in Dallas, 66 or more points in each. And what I really like is both teams play pretty fast. The Cowboys are number 5 in pace, and Arizona number 14 for the whole season, not playing slow even with the backup quarterback. And I just think Arizona is going to have success against this Cowboys defense, missing both their starting safeties, their third safety, their fourth safety is questionable. They have one healthy safety on the roster. So this is a matchup that Trey McBride and all of those receivers should get wide open. So I just like Arizona to get into the high 20s, and maybe Dallas gets 31 and we get 31-28.
All right. So you like the team total over 25.5 and the over. That, of course, that 25.5 is for the Cardinals. Mike, what's your team total or first half bet?
I like the Cardinals first half, going to go over 12.5. See, it's, a play we've made often this season, particularly in great conditions like this. It's a touchdown and 2 field goals, but there's more reason to like it this week for me. When I look, Larry mentioned it, you talk about Arizona and the pace in which they play with. It is not a normal backup quarterback in, let's just try and get this game to the fourth quarter. It's let's go score points. Let's try. They're coming off of the bye week, additional time to prepare for one of the most vulnerable secondaries in the National Football League with a quarterback that can go sling it. I think that they come out, have some success early, going to go over 12.5 on their first half team total.
Danny, what do you like here?
Totally makes sense. I hope we can get a Larry's score prediction, 31-28. I'd be happy to push on the Cowboys -3 if you guys can cash the hook. And we hit our props or maybe our game totals as well, because I like the Cowboys team total over 28.5 points. I mentioned already they've yet to score less than 40 points at home in Jerry's world. And I just don't see a world where this is a low scoring kind of stinker of a game. Maybe if they both defenses come out in the bend don't break and just try to hold each other to field goals, and that's how you win, that'll keep this under. But other than that, there's no way we're not getting touchdowns in this CS. So give me team totals over, give me player prop overs, give me the game over as well.
Larry, did you have follow-up there?
Danny is such a nice guy. I would never take a push so Danny could win. That just shocked me right there.
Danny is a nice guy. Maybe he didn't mean it. Hopefully he didn't mean it. I'm kidding, Danny. That was a nice gesture. First half under 27.5 for me. Again, just like the Dak Prescott play, this is a principal play more than anything. 27.5 for a first half. I mean, normally you see in a lower scoring affair, certainly short of 24, but even in a high scoring affair, 24.5, 25.5. Listen, you get a couple of stalled drives, you get a couple of longer drives than you anticipate, maybe with the Cowboys nickel and diming it down the field, as Arizona doesn't like to give up the big play. Could very easily see this fall 27 or lower in the first half. It's not a fun bet, but it's the bet I'd like to make.